Testing, testing.
All right, Commissioner Suchman, can you hear me?
I can.
We can
you
hear
hear
you.
me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent.
Awesome. I'm going to keep us on mute till the meeting starts.
right, good morning. Welcome to the Public Service Commission's administrative meeting for December 6, 2023. Our first item is approval of the minutes of our meeting of November 29th, 2023. Commissioner Sushman,
Aye.
Commissioner Richard,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Aye.
I vote aye. Mr. Secretary.
Morning, Mr. Chair. There's one item on today's consent agenda. It's a request from Easton Telecom Services LLC to cancel its tariff.
Okay, I move that we cancel the Easton Telecom Services LLC's tariff effective December 6, 2023. Commissioner Sushman,
Aye.
Commissioner Richard,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Aye.
I vote aye.
Mr. Chair, item number 2 on the administrative agenda consists of revised tariff pages from Sandpiper Energy, Inc., reflecting the new system improvement rate.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Pam Coates on behalf of staff. Sandpiper Energy's service territory is in Worcester County and includes Ocean City. In 2013, the System Improvement Rate, the SIR, mechanism was set up to enable Sandpiper to recover the cost of replacing bare steel mains and converting propane customers to gas. Sandpiper's annual SIR calculation accounts for those costs, plus a reconciliation from the previous year. The SIR is calculated separately for Ocean City customers and non-Ocean City customers because there are additional costs related to Ocean City which are paid by those customers following the principle of cost causation. Sandpiper's 2023 SIR filing shows an increase in the SIR rates for both Ocean City and non-Ocean City customers. For Ocean City customers, the increase is approximately 10%, and for non-Ocean City, it's approximately 11%. This increase has two main causes: increased cost of replacing bare steel mains and the reconciliation factor from the previous year. Staff's Accounting Investigation Division has determined that the new rates have been calculated accurately. I want to point out that in tables 1 and 2 of staff comments, it appears that propane customers are paying a higher rate than gas customers, but that is an illusion. It's caused by the fact that propane contains more energy than gas, and both customers are paying the same rate per unit of energy. The annual bill impacts for each rate class from the new SIR are shown in Table 3 of staff comments. For residential customers, the impact ranges from an average of 20 cents a month for small residential customers outside Ocean City to $2.35 a month for large residential customers in Ocean City. The effective date of the SIR is December 1 each year. However, it is now December 6th. The company has confirmed that they are continuing to bill customers at last year's rate, pending Commission approval of the new rate. The discrepancy will be reconciled in next year's SIR calculation. Staff recommends the Commission accept the proposed tariff pages for filing, effective for the 12-month billing period of December 1, 2023 through November 30, 2024. Thank you, and I'm available for questions.
So, any questions for staff?
This actually may
Commissioner
be, thank you, Mr. Chair. This may be more for the company, so let me know if it is. But I just wanted to understand where we are in the conversion process, since there are different SIRs for Ocean City and the rest of the service territory. In the filings, it seemed to indicate that Ocean City might be completed. I just wanted to understand, did I read that correctly?
Well, this probably is better for
Okay.
the company, but I will say that Ocean City is basically completed, is my understanding.
Okay.
And the customers outside Ocean City, there are 70 business customers and 725 residential customers yet to be converted.
Okay, and I guess from
And
the
that's out
filings, it's
of,
Pocomoke City?
Pardon?
That's
Yeah,
large.
we're talking Pocomoke City here. Yeah, they're working their way into it.
Okay, and is that a big percentage of the city? And again, I
Of the
apologize if this.
city- Of the
why don't I?
city,
Why don't
I don't know, but I'm sure the company can
Okay.
tell you. I know that of the around 7,000 customers total, so we're talking like 90% done. It's just that what's not done is Pocomoke City.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, so actually, before we go to the company, I noticed the Office of People's Counsel filed a letter. Do you want to say anything beyond what was in your letter?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Ryan Chu on behalf of OPC. Now, we don't have particularly anything else to note beyond our letter. The letter just more raising, general points again about the sort of wisdom of investing in, natural gas infrastructure with sort of climate policy and whatnot. But recognizing that might be more appropriate for, in this case, for the 9707 case than the administrative meeting. But
Okay, fair enough. So now the company.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Brian Quinn on behalf of Chesapeake Utilities. It's nice to be before you for the first time. Yes, to answer your question, well, first, I'd like to thank staff for their thorough buck sheet, and of course, we agree with their recommendation. Ms. Coates answered all the questions correctly. I'll get to your question, Commissioner Richard. I understand OPC filed their letter and they wanted to provide some context. I'd like to provide some context about the actual matter that's before you, which is the SIR. I was around in 2013 when Chesapeake acquired the 5 propane systems in Worcester County, and in case number 9303. It was actually the county residents that were strongly supportive of converting off of their propane system to natural gas. I went down to the hearing at Stephen Decatur High School, where it was very well attended one of the most well attended public meetings I went to. 45 people showed up, 10 spoke, all in favor of the conversion and the acquisition by Chesapeake. This is a good thing, and it's actually in practice really has been a wonderful conversion process. We've converted almost the entirety of 4 systems. There's another system in Snow Hill in Worcester County that has yet to be converted, but we're almost completely through Pocomoke City. We have to, extend the system to reach it, but we've converted 89% of the customers there already. The conversion process went very well. You're talking about coming into people's homes, and it went very well. Worcester County supported the application back in 2013, and then in 2015, residential ratepayers in Ocean City asked for the SIR adder so they could convert their homes as well. And it's a process that went very well. And then Sandpiper had a rate case in 2015 that was one of the first multi-year rate plans, and it's actually decreased customer rates over 6 years. So this is a story that I wanted to share with the commission because not all of the state is the same. The rural areas of Worcester County really wanted this, and we think it speaks for itself. So happy to answer any questions. Thanks for the opportunity.
So, any questions for the company?
Yeah, thank you for that. And I would agree, since I've been here, things have gone very smoothly. But I think you'd also agree that a lot has changed since 2013. And I just wanted to find out, is the company going to be participating, or has it, and I'm sorry if I don't already know this, filed comments for 9707? I took special note, and this was also, I think, highlighted in the OPC's filing, that part of this program does involve, in front of the meter, behind the meter, I guess, inside the homes conversion. And I just wanted to find out if the company is thinking about, again, state policy and providing some, I guess, information or opportunity for households at this point. I know it's very late also in the process, but to consider electrification.
Yeah, Commissioner Richard, a couple things to your question. Way back in the dark ages of 2013, 2015, I know that was 100 years ago.
A long time ago, wasn't it?
100 years ago, sure. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, we filed comments in 9707. We'll be participating in that to the extent the commission deals with that. That's not before you today, and so we'll save our comments for that case, if that's okay.
Okay, good. I just wanted to find that out because I think there were some important points made in the OPC letter. And again, I know we're very far through the conversion process, but there may be customers that are interested with, now these new state policies to have, opportunity to consider options. So thank you.
They can do that
being
today, Commissioner Richard. They can do that today. Any customer can convert to electricity anytime they want.
Oh, they can.
Yep, sure.
You know, it's just there are these funds that are there and being spent on conversion. So anyway. This will be a good conversation in 9707.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
So, any other questions? I have one. So, and if you know this, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. When the conversion was started, was the concern regarding propane reflective of the price or the periodic supply problems that come with propane?
Really, all of the above, Mr. Chairman. It was price was the main concern, and again, this wasn't that long ago. But yeah, people were excited to transition to natural gas. It was priced better. It was better for the environment, and also helped the Ocean City, for example, get rid of some overground propane tanks. Those are all gone now. Underground tanks. So it was really all of the above, and it's been a smooth process.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, I move that we accept the tariff provisions for filing effective for the 12-month billing period of December 1, 2023 through November 30, 2024. Commissioner Sussman,
Aye.
Commissioner Richard,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Aye.
I vote aye.
Mr. Chair, item number 3 is a request from Arcadia Power Inc. to qualify Londonderry Towers as a low or moderate income subscriber under the Community Solar Program.
Good morning, Chair Hoover and Commissioners. Ruth E. Herman on behalf of the technical staff. Arcadia Power, and they are at the podium to my right, asked the Commission to qualify Londonderry Towers as a low or moderate income subscriber under Maryland's Community Solar Pilot Program. Because Londonderry Towers is a federal affordable housing project, I recommend that the Commission qualify them as requested by Arcadia. The legal authority is detailed in staff's comments. I'm available for questions. Thank you.
So, any questions for staff?
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, on behalf of Arcadia today, John Fiastro, I'm here to answer any questions. I want to thank Ms. Herman for the buck sheet and her comments, and agree. We request a support and approval. Thank you.
So, any questions for Arcadia? Okay. All right, seeing none, I move that we approve the company's request and qualify Londonderry Towers as a low or moderate income subscriber under Maryland's Community Solar Pilot Program. Commissioner Sussman,
Aye.
Commissioner Richard,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Aye.
I vote aye.
Mr. Chair, item number 4 is a request from Delmarva Power and Light Company for an extension of the operational deadline for its Ocean City Battery Energy Storage System project.
Good morning, Chair, Commissioners. Michael Dean on behalf of staff. Item 4 is a request filed by Delmarva Power and Light Company for the Commission to approve a revised operational date of December 30, 2024 for the Ocean City Battery Storage System project to be located at 112 100th Street in Ocean City, Maryland. This project, a utility-owned and operated lithium-ion energy storage system with a capacity of 1 megawatt and 3.6 megawatt hours, is part of the case number 9619 Maryland Energy Storage Pilot Program approved in order number 89644 under Public Utilities Section 7-216. This statute provides that all approved projects in the pilot program were to be operational on or before February 28, 2022. As noted in the company's filing, the statute at 7-216H6 authorizes the Commission to grant an extension of the operational deadline for good cause shown for an unanticipated project development delays, and the company has previously obtained an extension of the deadline to December 31, 2023. The current request describes operational delays in the project related to lead times in obtaining a 480-volt transformer and switchgear, difficulties in the substation outage schedule for performing relay upgrades, and some delays in the permitting process related to the transfer of land. Based on its review of the filing, discovery, and statutory criteria, staff determined that an extension request should be granted. The filing also notes the status of the contingency fund for this project. Staff recommends that the commission grant the extension of the operational deadline to December 30, 2024 for the Delmarva's Ocean City Battery Energy Storage System project, which is a 12-month extension contingent upon the company submitting a description of the steps it is taking to contain cost overruns pursuant to Commission Order Number 89644. The Office of People's Counsel also filed comments on November 28, 2023, mail log number 306337, in which it also recommended approval of the extension request with some conditions.
Okay, so any questions for staff? Commissioner O'Donnell?
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I wanted to ask about the piece on the reconciling the extended costs and the contingency. We're supposed to get a report on that, but basically all the buck sheet says is that we'll take care of that in the next rate case, I think. Am I reading that wrong, Mr. Dean?
Well, the staff did recommend also that the company provide a description of the steps it's taking to contain any cost overruns so that the contingency budget line would not be exceeded.
Yeah, but I think our original order kind of gave me the impression that we were going to be getting a report on this before we went, did anything else, and all of a sudden this is another one we're gonna sweep under the myriad of issues into a rate case, and that concerns me somewhat, because it gets buried, it gets lost. Please comment.
Well, in any rate case, staff does perform discovery of any item that the company doesn't bring up front in its filing and identifies issues such as this. And in addition, staff's already aware of this issue, so it's
You're
unlikely
missing my point, Mr. Dean. My point is not the staff has the capacity to do this. My point is that we need to take care of this now and not wait till a rate case comes along. I think that was the flavor of our original order.
I would agree. The original order did discuss the need for cost accounting on all projects in the program.
Well, can someone from technical staff then tell me why that didn't happen?
Commissioner, I'll have to get back to you on that information.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to recommend we hold this after questions are asked to get the appropriate information as to a justification on this and why our original order kind of got brushed to the side almost, it feels like. Or why I'm wrong. The alternative.
Okay, Commissioner Schlesman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Dean, I'm actually trying to figure out how this will work in the context of the pilot, right? So this project is part of the storage pilot project. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And are there so and perhaps I should have looked at the original order, but I'm trying to figure out how this how a project that's not going to become operational until the end of next year is going to work in terms of any deadlines that are contained in the pilot or expectations of results in the pilot. So do you understand what my question is?
Yes, I believe I do. I believe you're asking how this project will contribute to the lessons learned regarding energy storage projects that we're due to report as required by the statute. Is that your question?
That is exactly what I'm asking. Thank you, Mr. Dean.
Well, Your Honor, all the projects have experienced some delays, mainly caused as a result of the pandemic and some of the supply chain issues that came up as a result of that. And other projects have been either canceled or are being replaced by other locations. Some of those are still pending before the commission. The statute itself states that the commission can extend the pilot program for an additional amount of time, and that would allow additional information to be gathered from projects that become operational later. In addition, the very fact that there are difficulties in siting, obtaining equipment, and in some cases, contractors and for those pilot projects that were required to be operated by other entities than the utility, that information is also useful or will be useful when the reports are submitted to the General Assembly.
Okay, so Mr. Dean, I guess I'm wondering, are we gonna run into a problem with the statute in terms of, so what is sort of the original date in the statute for when these pilots need to be done, and how much time can we extend for submission to, in terms of a report? So is this something that we need to kind of take care of now, or something we can take care of sort of later? So do you know the date, the initial date in the statute for when the pilot was supposed to end?
Good morning, Commissioners. DeAndre Wilson on behalf of staff. The pilot projects currently do not have an end date, but
Okay.
It's from what we recall, but the energy storage program, in regards to the new energy storage targets, are required to provide information to the General Assembly within the next coming weeks. That work group has attained or they have attained information status from each of the energy storage pilot projects as to the progress, the cost, and the learnings from those projects. The work group is now compiling all of that information in order to report to the General Assembly within the next couple weeks, I believe, is when their report is required, and I can check on that date.
Okay, no, that sounds, so, other than that submission, are we gonna bump up against any other, requirements that are going to need us to extend the deadline?
Not in regards to the pilot project.
Okay, that was sort of my question. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Richard?
Yes, good morning. Mr. Dean, I just wanted to just be reminded, which model is this project being operated under? Is it the, go ahead.
This is the utility-owned and operated project.
Okay. So capital expenditures, those will go into rate base then? Is that how this is to be accounted for under this
Eventually, yes,
eventually? Okay.
to the extent that they're found prudent.
Okay. I was just trying to understand also, and this is the second extension, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And last time, I think the way the commission, and I'm largely now going off of the OPC filing, we just extended the time. How did we account for the $1.9 million that my understanding is the cost increased, the overrides at that point? Was that something that we were going to consider at a later time, or as Commissioner O'Donnell asked, was that just something that was kicked to the rate case? I just want to understand how that is accounted for with regard to the contingency costs.
All costs for a project such as this will tend to be capitalized and included in when it goes into operation.
Yeah, and I guess that's not really what I'm asking. At this point, I'm trying to get to, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I was more interested to know, where are we now with the BCA, the cost analysis? Did that, my understanding is now it's at about 0.38, that 0.38, that's the ratio. Did that account for the $1.9 million, or is that excluded at this stage?
I believe that calculation is just based on the current cost estimate for the project, or the money that's been used, I should say, from the contingency fund added to the estimate of the project cost.
Okay, and with staff recommendation, was that a concern at all? I mean, I think we were open to these projects because they were mandated by the legislature, and we wanted to have the opportunity for learnings. But this one, as I recall, was just hovering around about 0.5 BCA. Does staff have any concerns at all that it's now falling even further if we consider in these cost overruns? And I guess now the fact that we will be looking at using contingency?
Well, staff is always concerned about costs of projects as a general matter. For this specifically, this project was never cost beneficial. By positive, I mean greater than one. From the very beginning, it was not cost effective, and I would expect that basically all energy storage projects won't be cost effective in the future when you see them. They're designed to eliminate problems that occur, to delay other work.
Mm-hmm.
So that in general, they're never cost effective. If they were cost effective, we would already have them.
Right, and I agree with that assessment. But is there a threshold? I mean, I think the commissioners did express concerns with the initiation of the pilot that there be a certain minimum level of of the BCA. But now it appears that we are falling far below even 0.5. Is there a threshold the staff has considered at a point that we should just say stop?
I cannot say that there would never be a place where we would say stop, as long as the project stays within the budget and provides some use. The use of a cost-benefit analysis is normally at the decision whether or not you're going to start a project or not. as long as the cost benefit analysis wasn't the reason for the project, if it's performing other functions, as long as it performs those functions, the project should continue, I would say.
Okay, so you're still, staff still stands behind this even with the declining BCA. I guess the last question for staff is, a concern raised that there is public opposition to this, and the public opposition appears to be very similar to what happened at Livingston Road, also a PHI company project. Has staff looked at that at all and made any kind of assessment? Should we again, given that Livingston Road, that was this public opposition was a significant reason why it was abandoned, do we have any, I guess, insights as to what this public opposition is, and could this also, again, cause this project to be canceled?
Well, Your Honor, I'm not aware of any filings that have been made in opposition to the project as far as the extension requests. If there's opposition at local hearings, we haven't, been attending or monitoring them.
Okay, you did reference OPC's filing, and they discuss it in theirs. I mean, would this be an issue, a reason we should maybe just, again, take a pause and maybe do as Commissioner O'Donnell suggested, and let's get some more information before we expend too much more money on this project?
Well, we can always do that, but I would just say that normally if there's opposition, the staff is contacted or there are filings. In Livingston Road, I personally received phone calls and discussions on that, emails on that, in regards to opposition to it. People were happy, and we're monitoring the commission's decision-making process. They wanted to know what admin meetings it would be at, when documents would be available for them to review.
Okay, so you haven't tried to engage in any of, learn more about these, the public opposition that's referenced by OPC. This is, you're unfamiliar with the public opposition.
DeAndre Wilson on behalf of staff. I personally investigated the complaints or the opposition with the Livingston Road project, and the difference between that case and this particular situation in regards to community opposition is that the commission actually had complaints filed. So our eyes are brought to these issues once a complaint is filed with customer affairs with the affairs department. So
okay, I don't want to go on too much longer. I'd like to hear from the company and OPC, but we didn't act. It was the company's decision to pull the application or to pull the project, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so it wasn't the staff investigation of complaints. It was a company decision. Okay.
Right. It was a company that filed.
All right. No more questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So let me ask this one question. The educational benefits we're supposed to receive from the pilot have been somewhat superseded by the fact that the General Assembly has now passed legislation to make storage permanent, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. So OPC, let's hear from them first.
Sorry about that. Thank you. Good morning, Natalie Novak on behalf of the Office of People's Counsel. OPC recommends that the Commission adopt staff's recommendation to approve Delmarva's request for an extension of the operational deadline for its Ocean City battery energy storage pilot project, contingent upon Delmarva submitting a description of the steps it is taking to contain cost overruns pursuant to Commission Order number 89644. As Commissioner Richard already mentioned or brought up, costs have significantly increased since the initial cost estimations from the beginning of the pilot project. So OPC agrees that it's important to keep an eye on the cost overruns and the measures the pilot utilities are taking to contain the cost overruns. Secondly, OPC also recommends that the Commission require Delmarva to report in its next semi-annual status report any community concerns or community opposition regarding the Ocean City project and what the company is doing to address those concerns. Community opposition to these pilot programs is a serious and ongoing concern. As was already mentioned, it recently impacted PEPCO's Livingston Road pilot project. Delmarva has reported in DR responses to OPC that the delay at issue in this filing is not the result of any community opposition, and Delmarva also reported that there is no current community opposition to the Ocean City project, although there was former opposition to the project. The current metrics that are required in the annual reports that the pilot utilities are required to file do not capture any information around community opposition. The metrics include issues like delays or implementation issues, but it does not specifically address community concerns or community opposition. And the same goes for the semi-annual report status reports that are required for pilot projects that are not yet operational. Those filings require reasons why it's not yet operational, but does not specifically ask about community opposition. Therefore, OPC would request that the Commission require Delmarva to include in its next semi-annual report any community opposition related to the Ocean City project. And briefly, in regard to Commissioner Suchman's question about the learnings, the statute does include an extension. So an extension in regard to the report that the pilot utilities file containing the learnings from the pilot project. So in PUA section 7-216 I, it says that if a pilot utility makes a request before April 1st, 2026, it can request additional time to gather data and provide additional opportunities for learning and continuing the pilot program. So there is an opportunity to extend the period of time where learnings from the pilot program are submitted to the Commission. Of course, that may be moot due to the permanent storage project that's currently in the working group. Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's hear from the company. And one thing you might want to address are the questions that Commissioner O'Donnell raised earlier regarding how the money's being dealt with in context of our previous orders.
Sure. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Matthew Seegers, appearing for Delmarva Power. The company appreciates staff's analysis as well as the comments of OPC. The company does not have any issues with the recommendation of staff that it submit a description of the steps that we are taking to contain cost overruns. The company actually did comply with this requirement from order number 89664 in a filing submitted on October the 1st, 2021, but we have no issues providing an update regarding this project. Nor do we have any issues with OPC's recommendation that the company report in its next semi-annual status report filing any community concerns about the project and what the company is doing to address those concerns. Now, obviously, it goes without saying, Your Honor, that the company is not happy about asking for another extension, but I do want to provide some updates just to show that we are making very good progress on this project. First of all, the land swap that involved the Worcester County easement issue between Delmarva Power and the town of Ocean City, that has been resolved. And the land swap closed on November the 22nd, 2023. This enabled Delmarva Power to begin the permitting process for the Ocean City battery, which based on our experience will take about 90 days. Second, I can provide the following update on the deliveries of our equipment. First of all, we have the batteries for the project. They've been delivered and they are being held by Delmarva Power's vendor, Concentric. The necessary transformer, switchgear, and controls for the project have been ordered, and Delmarva anticipates receiving the transformer in February 2024, the switchgear in March of 2024, and the controls in June of 2024. This will enable Delmarva Power to start construction of the battery in April of 2024, and we expect that that construction will take no more than 9 months. And that will also enable us to meet the fall outage window in order to take the necessary outages to complete the construction. That begins on September the 15th in order to get this project in operation by the end of December of next year. And in response to Commissioner O'Donnell's, first of all, I hope we've responded to Commissioner Suchman's question about the statutory timelines. In response to Commissioner O'Donnell's question, I believe he's referring to the directive from Order Number 89664, where it says, in the event that a utility anticipates it will need to expend more than 50% of the approved contingency funds, the utility must notify the Commission, explain the reasons for the original funding projection was inadequate, and describe the steps that the utility is taking to contain cost overruns. We actually complied with that directive, Your Honor, in our filing on October the 1st, 2021. But as I noted earlier, we have no objection to updating that filing regarding this project. And to answer your questions, Commissioner Richard, we have heard some concerns from the town of Ocean City and from some nearby condominium associations just about the battery. Largely, they were aesthetic concerns about how is the battery going to look. The good news is that now that the land swap is done, those concerns have been addressed, and we have not heard any more concerns. The reason for that being is because on the original parcel of land that we were going to locate the battery, it was going to be more out in the open and more visible. The adjacent parcel, which we are getting from the town of Ocean City, it's more hidden away. And so that largely has addressed the aesthetic concerns. And we're not aware of any additional community opposition to this project. So with that, I do have some subject matter experts available if there are any questions.
So, any questions for the company? Commissioner Suchman.
So I guess the question is, sort of knowing what you've already spent and knowing what you need to spend, is it possible for you to, understanding concerns about cost overruns, is it possible for you to keep us informed to the extent that you experience cost overruns now based on what still needs to be done? So to the extent that you are experiencing unusual increases in labor cost, rather than sort of have those submitted in a semi-annual, to the extent that it comes up after the fact, is it because it's been the process has been so delayed, would it represent an onerous obligation on your part to just inform the commission to the extent that you are experiencing some cost overruns that were not anticipated?
We're certainly happy to keep the commission informed, Your Honor. As I indicated, we're happy to update our filing in our October 1st, 2021 filing, which did talk about what we are trying to do with the increase in cost and what we're trying to do to control the costs. So we're certainly happy to do that. I would also note that the cost of this project, it was included as part of Delmarva Power's our multi-year rate plan, which is currently in effect. We have our first annual information filing due in that proceeding at the end of March of next year. And that is where we will show any differences in the amount of the monies that were agreed upon, because that case resulted in a settlement, versus what we have expended. And then, so We will be doing annual information filings in March of next year. There's going to be another informational filing in March of 2025. And we will also be doing a reconciliation that will be included in our next MYP, which is due to be filed during the first quarter of 2025. So,
And Ms. Novick, is that going to be enough information for you, or do you think the commission could benefit from some additional information from the company?
In regard to reviewing the pilot program success, or
That's right.
yeah,
Because just for purposes of the current pilot program and this current project, hearing what the company is suggesting, is there anything else that you think the commission would benefit from in terms of information regarding cost overruns?
that information in conjunction with the staff's current request to provide more details about these cost overruns, and I am forgetting if staff's request, I know it requests measures the company is taking to contain cost overruns, but maybe that could also include information about, more detailed information about the cause of the cost overruns. I know some information was included in Delmarva's filing, but it could include more detailed information about the cause of those cost overruns. I believe that information would be sufficient, but I will be happy to submit more information at a later time.
Okay, and would the company be okay about providing that additional information about the cause of the cost overruns?
yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
So, Commissioner O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I got a preliminary question for staff and OPC, and then I'm going to go back to my original commentary and try to get some action in that regard. Both OPC and the company, both OPC and the company have alluded to the fact that the local opposition to this project has gone away. It's evaporated. It doesn't exist. Do we have some memorialization of that? Is it written down? Did someone say we would draw our opposition? And how did they do that if they did? Or, because all I'm hearing is, well, we haven't heard anything for a while, so it must be okay. Well, that's not necessarily true with these smaller groups and townsfolk and municipalities who have some opposition. It just may not be the most important thing on their day. Because, what we do is kind of an esoteric kind of effort. And I'm wondering, is this, how do you know that opposition doesn't exist, or are you just guessing from not hearing anything?
Commissioner O'Donnell, I couldn't agree more. This is Natalie from OPC. I'm going to defer, of course, to counsel for Delmarva, but it's difficult to ascertain what the community opposition is or is not in these local areas without being there or having contacts that are involved in those communities. So that is a reason why it's important that the company actively report this information, because it is just difficult for us to ascertain that information. And the information that I provided was the result of some DRs issued to Delmarva, and they did state that there was community opposition. I believe in 2022, and of course the counsel for Delmarva can speak more to that. But I did want to highlight that it was stated that there were concerns about aesthetics, but there's also concerns about battery safety, electromagnetic fields, and environmental protection. So I'd be curious to know whether what concerns those were, and if those have been resolved, as well as the aesthetic concerns.
You're one of the entities that said they were resolved, so that's why I'm asking you. And now you're curious to know if they've been resolved. Company, what do you got to say on that score?
Good morning, Commissioner O'Donnell. all of the concerns that the company has received have essentially been, for lack of a better way to put it, off the record. They have been in discussions with the town and with the condominium associations. I do have my subject matter expert from our external affairs department who has firsthand knowledge of this, and I'd like to bring him up just to give some more flavor. But I've been told that we have conferred with both. The town is supportive. They voted in favor of it, and they've told us their concerns have been addressed, and the residents of the condo associations have told us the same. So, but I can bring him up to see if he can provide any more flavor.
Sure.
Good morning. Marcus Beal on behalf of Delmarva Power. In regards to public opposition, my team was present at all of the Town of Ocean City council meetings with the mayor and council members and members of the public. As my colleague spoke, initially some concerns about aesthetics, primarily the fencing involved in the project and what the actual site would look like. As mentioned, with the land swap, the actual battery storage location will now reside next to a water tower, sort of at the back of the property, a little bit more of a utility type feel, industrial look back there, so less concerns from the public. And then from the local residents and customers that were lived in the condominium unit nearby, of course, had aesthetic concerns. That's their view. But the company addressed those directly in the council meetings. We had public comment sessions as well, and were able to directly engage with those condominium owners and the association and address those concerns. So we have not seen significant opposition at this point. Obviously, we will continue to actively monitor and respond to any complaints. I will note that media was present at a number of those council meetings as well. It's usually a good litmus test to see, hey, where's the public sentiment? And we did not see significant negative media attention from this work as well. So happy to answer any additional questions.
So that's fine for the company to say, because that's in your interest. But as far as the commission having a full flavor of verified information, we should have something more than just we think that that's right, and it just happens to be in our support our position. Like, for instance, does anyone think to say to the local opposition, hey, if you're satisfied with this, if you're good with this, can you send me an email? Can you maybe give me a memo, a quick dirty memo? You can put it in a file, in a document file. I don't get it, but I'll let that go for now, Mr. Chairman, because maybe there'll be more on this later where we can get something like that, something very simple. It doesn't have to be an act of Congress. It's just something very, very common sense. But dude, let me go down my original line, and that is this: the cost overruns are large, the contingencies burn up, and it's not accounted for in ways that we had previously asked for, although Mr. Seeger says it was, and he's happy to update it. I think we need that here with this filing, with this instant filing, and we don't have it. And I this whole notion of putting a stamp of approval on, we're going to sweep this to the next rate case. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a fan of that, Mr. Chairman. And I got to tell you, I've been accused of deleterious activity with regard to some of these delays, the frozen tundra of Maryland, and any other excuse. My mom ate my homework, my dog ate my homework, and my mom wasn't nice to me or whatever. It's ridiculous, because approval of these delays don't help serve the public interest. They help thwart the carrying out of public policy at the state level. In other words, the state wanted to know this information, and we wanted to know it, and we did this pilot, and we're not getting anywhere with it on all of these. It's just delay after delay after delay after delay after delay. Meanwhile, the legislature, which is highly unusual, blows right by us and says, we're going to memorialize this in statute, so you have to do something. Well, I don't blame them, to be honest with you. I don't blame them. So I'd like to put a hold on this. I see Commissioner Suchman has a question. I don't want to stifle any questions from being answered today, but I'd like to hold this till such time as we can get a fuller accounting of the expenditures of this and where the money's going, as Commissioner Richards alluded to. Where are we at with the funding on this thing, and where are we going, and when do we pull the plug on it? Do we pull the plug on it? I mean, come on, we're not getting any benefit out of this. There's a couple years of collecting money on it, I can tell you that, for the company, and that means from the ratepayers. And that's not a good thing, and it doesn't help further the state's attainment of its policy goals. And so I'm going to push for a delay until we can get a better report as discussed herein.
Commissioner Suchman.
Yeah, so I actually would like to pick up a little bit on what Commissioner O'Donnell was talking about in terms of the potential for concern within the community, because it does sound a little bit anecdotal, and I would want to see in the next report submitted to the commission any objections or support that you're receiving, so that it's no longer just anecdotal, but I think that we will benefit to the extent that that any expressions of concern are being heard by the utility. So to the extent from now until the date of the next filing, if you could note in that filing any information, any opposition or any support that you're receiving, given that this is still part of the pilot, we need to gather that kind of information. That's going to help to move this process forward.
Of course, Commissioner Suchman. As I said before, we have no issues providing additional information about any potential community opposition. To address yours and Commissioner O'Donnell's concerns, we can see if we can work with the town and the condo association to see if we can get something in writing from them that can be included as part of that report. Hopefully that will address your concerns.
That's fine. I mean, it's just that, Maryland, I mean, we're not Texas, we're not huge, but we, we can't have eyes and ears everywhere. And so we don't want to miss anything that could fall through the cracks. So to the extent that anybody has any issues of concern, whether they're aesthetic or something more substantive, we need to know about that. And you are obviously in the best position because you're going to hear from them first.
Yes, of course, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, and just to quickly address a comment that Commissioner O'Donnell said regarding a delay. The company, as I said before, we're perfectly happy to update our filing in terms of our costs and what we're doing to try and contain any cost overruns. However, I would urge the commission to still grant the extension at this admin meeting today, just because our operational deadline is the end of this month. And if we don't meet that operational deadline, there could be an argument to say that the company is not complying with the statute. So we are happy to.
Wait a minute, Mr. Seegers. Wait a minute. Hang on.
Okay.
I'm going to hang on, Mr. Chairman. Are you seriously throwing out the "we need to get this done" flag? After delay, after not doing anything, after not making any progress all these years? Are you kidding me? You expect to be credible with that? We need to do this by now because we need to do it by now. We haven't got anywhere at all in several years.
Well, actually,
are you kidding?
I'm not.
That's a question.
Oh, okay. My apologies. Just in response, Your Honor, I detailed all of the work that we have done, Your Honor. And I would also note that the delays that we've encountered with this project are not unique to this project. Specifically, the land swap issue, there have been numerous solar generator projects that have come before this commission and asked for extensions of their CPCN requirements because of land use issues and permitting. That is not something that is...
This is the point, Mr. Seegers. I'm not talking about the technical details of the need for a delay. I'm talking about we need it done now comment. We need it done now because we said so. Are you kidding me? After a couple years of not getting anything done? I shouldn't say anything, but nothing measurable, nothing used and useful, nothing that benefits the pilot, no information. Back the legislature blew right by us. Are you and you expect to have credibility? We need it done now, and expect us to toady up to that?
Well, Your Honor, my concern...
That flies in the face of my concern with these delays in the first place. In other words, we shouldn't be approving these delays. We should say, no, you made a commitment, you're going to keep it. And if you don't, oh well, that's your problem. You'll pay for it. Ratepayers aren't going to pay for it. That's what I think should happen. But you just... You lose all credibility with me, Mr. Seegers, when you say we need it done now.
Your Honor, the only reason I said that is because, as I said before, the company is happy to comply with the conditions that have been proposed on this extension. My concern is that if the commission does not act until those conditions are met, there's simply not going to be enough time for us to provide that information and then to come back before this commission before the end of this year.
Well, maybe you should have got in here earlier, Mr. Seegers. To be quite honest with you, asking for the delay earlier, not with a gun to our head. But that's ridiculous.
Commissioner Richard.
Let's see. I think there's been already a lot of discussion. Mr. Seeger, thank you for reporting, giving an update today on where the public, acceptance, public opposition, wherever it might be. I mean, that is important, and I think why it's important to me is because it was a significant reason, if not the reason, that your company canceled Livingston Rose. So I think we need to monitor that carefully. Also, I strongly support what the OPC is asking that we add to the motion today, and I think this kind of information, how you're managing that, because I think if there's an important lesson is we need to figure out how we educate the public, how we move forward so that as we start to hopefully ramp up all these storage systems around the state, that we know how to best communicate and allay public concerns, and we also learn where the right places to site them. So I think this is very essential to this pilot, and also, again, you need to be, I think you've heard from others, good stewards of ratepayer money, and to get that far along a project like you did at Livingston Road and then just suddenly cancel it, that's very problematic to me. I think the other, and I don't know if this is more for you or for OPC a question, is this concern where we really are with cost overrides? Because if I'm understanding correctly, Mr. Seeger, you were $1.9 million was it last year, and now it looks like we're facing about another $278,000 in override. So, am I understanding correctly that, assuming everything goes perfectly from here forward, this project will be, $2,200,000 over budget. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if I have those specific numbers in front of me, Commissioner, but what I can say is that as we noted in our filing, the O&M costs that is associated with the grant of a one-year extension, that we are able to cover with the contingency for this project. So it will not have an effect on the BCA. In terms of the overall cost of the project, as I described before, that is currently in the DPL rates right now, which were a result of a settlement in case number 9681. What is going to happen is that
Now we're talking about the $1.9 million, just so I know where you are.
we're talking about the total cost of the project. Your
Total
Honor.
cost.
Yes.
Okay, which now includes the $1.9 million over what the cost was expected to be, what it was budgeted to be.
I don't have the number in front of me, but I'll take your word for it if it was 1.9
Okay,
million.
I'm reading right from OPC's filing, so that is that a correct number?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I will take that. I'll take that subject to check, but yes.
Okay.
But what will happen is that the amounts that went into the DPL MYP, that was assuming that the project was going to become effective at the end of this year. What will happen during the reconciliation is that now that the project is being delayed by an additional year, during the reconciliation, the customers will get a credit for that additional year plus carrying costs. So unfortunately, I don't have the exact amount of what that credit would be, but I could anticipate that would be a few $1 million, Your Honor. And that will just be one, just to be clear, that will be one segment of the overall reconciliation. So I hope that answers your question.
It begins to just to exactly so we can account where the funds are and how they're being expended. But again, I think the concern is, after the last extension, at that point, it was my understanding at that point in time, the project was $1.9 million over. And now it looks like we're looking at another $278,000. So again, I guess all I would say there is the company has got to be more careful with ratepayer money when we're talking about these types of projects. So, if I could just ask one more question of OPC, for me, the fact that staff and OPC are jointly suggesting we approve this, that weighs very heavily for me. So I'm inclined to support the request for extension. But I do want to, again, just ask OPC, when we're starting to look at BCAs that are falling below 0.5, do you have guidance for the commission? Because you may recall when we had the hearings, and I think even a couple of commissioners at that time decided not to vote in support of some of these projects because they had such low BCAs. Do you have a guidance now or something you could provide the commission at what point is a BCA just too low to move forward?
That's a great question. Thank you so much. I would love to come up with a detailed answer for you and submit it at a later time, if that's workable.
Okay, and I think it's important to hear from staff and from OPC on that, because I agree we're going to need to have these systems, but when we're looking at such low BCAs, there's got to be a point where we just have to say no. So anyway,
Yep.
thank you.
And OPC will do that. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so let me.
Mr.
Chair, I believe
just
Commissioner
have
Suchman has a question.
Oh,
just
okay.
wanted to add
Go ahead.
one
So.
comment to what Commissioner Archer was talking to OPC about. And so, Ms. Novick, if you start to look at the BCA issue, I wonder if you could also look to whether we're looking at the right questions in determining what is the right, so if we're looking at storage, because it's going to help us, for example, to bring a system back up. So if storage ends up being black start capable, then the BCA might involve different factors. So I'm just sort of, putting that out. Maybe we're looking at the wrong set of issues depending on what we're thinking about as benefits from battery storage.
Definitely, and I want to speak a little bit off the cuff. That is the BCA evaluation for energy storage is a topic that's also going to be taken up by the working group.
Oh, great! More stuff for you to do, right?
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay, so for the company, obviously we've had a couple of requests for information. So here's what I will propose to you. If you think you can get the information to us expeditiously, we can probably reconsider this item at the December 20th meeting. If you don't think you can get it to us by then, I think we're perfectly willing to support any concerns that are raised about you missing the deadline and help explain why this project got delayed. But one question I have regarding the opposition, if I remember right, the opposition to the other project, the Livingston Road project, had to do with this fire concern that's been sort of lurking around with these storage projects. That wasn't true in this case, correct?
I believe there was just a few concerns about fire safety. If I can bring up my
go ahead. So.
Yes, good morning again, Marcus Beal, Delmarva Power. We did hear some initial concerns about fire safety. We engaged our fire protection SMEs who engaged with the fire chief with the town of Ocean City, who ultimately signed off and approved us moving forward.
Okay, well that helps. So, so that's, I guess what I'm proposing is that we hold this in abeyance till the December 20th meeting, and I guess at this point, you can inform us if you think you can make that date, and if not, we'll push it back till January.
I would have to confer and see if, so just to be clear, the information would be the accounting of what we've spent on the project and what we're doing to contain any cost overruns, and then the information about the community opposition.
Right.
If I can have a moment to see.
And I think what we're looking for there, to the extent you can get it, you said that earlier that the town had, quote, voted in favor of it, so, something along that line, whether it's, actually a letter from them saying, yeah, we're okay with this, or just, some, memorial record of their actual vote on this would be helpful.
Yeah,
So,
Mr. Chair, could I ask, also, just what the company is doing, I would find useful to try to educate the local. I know that there were some efforts made on Livingston Road with the fire department and some, but what we heard back is it was really insufficient. So I'd like to know what you're learning from Livingston Road, and how you're trying to apply that to how these other projects are developing, particularly obviously the Ocean City project. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sure. So I guess what I'll leave it to you is, if you want to sort of meet with your folks and then communicate with us about, what you think can happen going forward, we're perfectly happy with that. So.
Okay, if I could just have a moment, Your Honor.
Sure. Yeah.
And if I could make a quick suggestion. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
And in regard to the questions about the BCA that Commissioner Richard and then some additional considerations that Commissioner Suchman was bringing up, I'm proposing that OPC look into those questions and have a filing ready for whenever this matter comes up on the agenda again. Would that be?
Sure.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, that's great. So.
Okay,
That's
great.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think there were some questions about even the Livingston Road, about how the BCA changed because of a development with the substation. So, those are the kind of things I'd like to understand how OPC is looking at this, as well as staff. When things change significantly that have an impact on the BCA, that would be useful.
Yes, absolutely. Thank
Well, and the reality is that this is going to become a larger issue. And so I guess the question is how broad you want to make it. I'll leave that up to you.
Got it. I will. OPC will do our best to cover all of these questions and then be ready for the ongoing conversation whenever this comes up again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Chairman. I'm told that the community opposition piece, that should not be a problem. We should be able to get that documentation. In terms of the accounting, that will take a little longer. I'm told that that will be take about 2 weeks,
Okay.
which means we would not be able to file it until December the 20th.
Okay.
So,
Well, like I said, I mean, if there's some criticism that comes, toward the company regarding missing the deadline, feel free to refer them our way, and we'll explain how this process has been playing out. So,
okay.
but because quite honestly, given the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, General Assembly has kind of moved on this issue in a permanent way, I'm not sure that the concerns about the pilots not hitting their target dates are going to be that of much interest to them anymore. So.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, this last item, and we're adjourned for the day.
So, and I'll put it on the first one in 2024,
Thank you, Commissioner O'Donnell.
not on the